Hi, everyone. This is Ev Zervadakis, president and founder of Holistic Healing Astrology. We're going to look at Kanye West's astrology only because he's got so much going on right now. When I posted that I was going to do his chart just to take a glimpse at what's going on, I got a whole bunch of interesting posts and texts saying he's crazy and oh my gosh, he's just a madman and you can't trust anything he says. So let's take a look at his chart. But I want to preface a couple of things. I'm here as an astrologer to look at a human being on the planet who, number one, is a huge influencer. He has a lot of followers, millions of followers on social media, and he does put out some interesting messages and he does get a lot of attention. I mean, come on, 30 million followers. That's humongous influence. Now, he's also a billionaire. He's also been married to Kim Kardashian, who's another very wealthy person. So we have a lot of power over here, a lot of money. And I never listened to his music because personally, I don't, partake in rap music. As you can tell, I was born in the 50s, in the last millennium. So to me, I don't like vulgarities. I don't like bad language. People that know me, they understand that every now and then I'll drop the F bomb, but it's a shocker if I do. And I do it sometimes for just attention, to grab your attention. But I never allowed that kind of language in my home. And my children knew that we didn't do rap in the house. So it's not because of anything personal. Well, it is personal, but I had other types of music that I was interested in, and I didn't really embrace it, didn't understand it. But now I'm getting a bigger picture. So, as an astrologer, I always put myself in the other person's shoes. So, let's say Kanye West was, here and we were doing a consultation. Number one, it would be a dialogue, it would be interactive. We would have a discussion about what I see in his chart. So, what is his chart? His chart is a contract between him and his God with the intention of coming into this earth and serving a purpose. And it's all illustrated and translated in the chart. So the chart is your roadmap as to, what are your possibilities. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that just pop out. And I had to do a couple of researches or searches to find out a little bit more about this character. So I am not here to judge. I never judge. My office and my consultations are no judgment zones. So let's put that to the side. So I'm not going to sit here and call him crazy. I don't care about his political views. I don't care about his religious views. I just want to show you in his chart what kind of is revealed and the similarities as to what he's saying and how I could find that in the chart. Now, the time of his chart, I wasn't really sure on, but I rectified it and I had it as a Leo ascendant. So what does that mean? I'm going to show with the arrow here that it's a Leo. And then I did some more digging and I found that some other astrologers have used 8:45 in the morning to be his birth time. And he is born in Atlanta, Georgia. And also, so he's born June 8th, 1977. So let's look at the chart. This is the chart. This is his roadmap. And what we see here is a bunch of activity and planets up at the southern part of the chart. And then down here, we have some outer planets on the bottom of the chart. So this means here it deals with society. Right here, this big cluster deals with profession. And but his sun shines not in profession, but in community groups and associations. And right next to the sun, of course, we always have to look at what's next to the sun because it gives it a flavor of a more of what he shines in besides Gemini. So yes, he's a Gemini. Well, that will give you the crazy elements that people are seeing because they'll say one thing and then they'll say another thing because they're highly intellectuals, Geminis are very curious, they're always data searching. They're looking at information, more information, and they're childlike. And then over time they do learn, and so a lot of famous people that are Gemini are very intellectual, very social. So that kind of fits. But with the Jupiter right next to the sun, it gives him more of a big personality. No surprise, we're talking mega big. And it also deals with Sagittarius, which deals with values and beliefs and philosophy and different culture. Well, there you have it. I mean, that's where he shines. That's where he's extroverted. So he's a natural born teacher, a communicator. Gemini is all about communicating, but the Jupiter means huge, big, very lucky too, means a lot of abundance. So he does put out a lot of information, and he is quite the big communicator. If you're a rapper and you have 30 million followers on your social media platform, I call that big, and I call that pretty big. So that's one of the aspects there that's important. Everybody always looks at the sun and they like to start at the sun. But actually, we need to start with not only the Gemini aspects, he's got Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. And that I would say is like that shadow side, the kind of vulgar side, and that could be the language. That's just my quick interpretation. You realize that when we do astrological consultations, the best way is to have a series of them because we could talk and talk and talk for days about these planets and what they represent. And then you might share something about your life. And then we would look at those planets again with different lenses. So it becomes a story. It becomes a chapter. It becomes then a book. There's a lot to be gleaned from your astrology chart. So then we have a whole bunch of activity right here at the top of the chart with 3 personal planets and 0 degrees, which means 0 degrees in a sign is an ingress, which means it's a new energy and there's this excitement and a new beginning. And it's all about Taurus. So what's Taurus represent? Money, the finer things in life, materialism, building, earth, very practical, and being down to earth and grounded. So look, he's got the planet of Mars aggression energy right there in this area of the chart, represents career, social status, how people view him, profession. All right. And then we have the symbol of attractiveness. I mean, he's a good looking guy, and he also represents money. So there's a lot of energy there to make money. Also, right here is the planet of Chiron, which has to do with suffering, early childhood suffering, which leads to healing. So his profession is about healing, and I think that's very interesting. And then if you look at the type of healing, you go down and you look at these lines, and there's this divine intervention or this channeling that he gets from the spiritual side, which is Neptune in Sagittarius, which has to do again with values, religion, ethics, morals, all that. And that goes straight up to suffering, healing, and the area of profession in his chart. So the other thing that we need to look at, and this is like a stellium sort of situation, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4 planets in the part of fortune in one sign. So that's very powerful. That means it's very energetic. There's a lot of emphasis. It's like saying, hey, look at me. And that is him. Hey, look at me. But his greatest joy, prosperity, and success is all about building, making things bigger, accumulating. It's all Taurus energy, materialism. I mean, he's a billionaire. It sort of fits, correct? So let's look at the way he communicates is very earthy too. It's let's talk about money. Let's talk about things that are important to your resources. It has to do with self-worth. It has to do with your valuables. All right. That's what he communicates. And again, because Mercury, the planet of communication, is conjunct or close to Black Moon Lilith, that gives him again an echoed expression of vulgarity. That's like the reason why I didn't want that type of music into my home. It's because that was my judgment. I didn't like the language bit, but I could understand now why he used that language, because his target audience were people that were, of that culture, they needed to hear that language so they could better relate. And I get it. No judgment there. That makes perfect sense. What I find also very interesting is his moon. Okay, the moon in the chart represents emotions and feelings, also represents the mother. Well, the moon is in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is the most spiritual sign, and it's also ruled by Neptune, which is a square, or it has some difficulty with the creativity, children, and the moon is also in his shared resources. So, but that is the motivating factor in his chart. That's what gives him that let's do it, and it's shared resources. And the moon has a special geometrical relationship to the planet of Saturn. Now, if you look at Saturn, it is in the sign of Leo, but it's in his first house. What does that mean? It means that they are practical, that they are serious, they're disciplined. They also feel responsible. Sometimes they feel responsible for everybody, and they rule the bones and the teeth and stuff like that. And they could have issues with bones, teeth, and structure. It represents structure too. So that in the sign of Leo, well, Leo is the ascendant. And what does Leo represent? Leo's a fire sign, and it represents the performer. It also represents creativity. Well, that's what he does. But he has this responsibility of being creative. And there's a flow of energy that goes straight here to Neptune, which is music, artists, in Sagittarius, which has to do with values and belief systems. And it goes straight here to who he is, what he wants people to see, the mask that he puts on. And so people may not take him very seriously, but he is a serious dude when you listen to him. Now, the moon in Pisces will reflect, because the moon always reflects the sun, in real life, but it reflects his spiritual nature. He quotes the Bible, and I've been studying the Bible for 35 years because I have a little bit of issues with organized religion and my metaphysical beliefs. So I'm always studying to see do they meet? And they sure do meet. You know, astrology is in the Bible. So for the non-believers of the occult or the metaphysical that are Bible thumpers, well, it's all in the Bible. And for those of you that don't believe in the Bible but are metaphysical, it goes both ways. The point is that we're here for a purpose. So without doing the full analysis, I just want to end it with number three is the Pluto in the third house, which has to do with communications, but it's this one-on-one transformational communication. And it's about what he says that he's trying to transform, irreversible changes. Very powerful stuff, very dynamic stuff. And if you look at his chart, he's got the mystical rectangles, two of them in his chart, and I think it's interesting. But that just means that they have a divine purpose, which is really interesting. And a lot of the royals have the mystical rectangles in their chart. So that's just an aside note. I don't want to get too deep into this. So we also could look at the planet of awakening down here, Uranus, and the planet of unexpectedness, shocking, and it's all in the sign of Scorpio, which has to do with stuff that people don't want to hear about. And it goes straight up again, opposition, this need to balance, tug of war with his profession. So down here too, with his home life, you know, it was kind of like, you know, a difficult childhood, probably with a lot of dark secrets, because, you know, that's what Scorpio's about too, death um, and, and sexuality. So let's face it, you know, that's the root of his chart. So is he a sexual type being? If you look at some of the fashion stuff, man, I would say so. So no judgment here. I'm just saying that it's in his astrology chart. And so let's finalize the whole thing with what his purpose is. Again, his purpose is the house of communication, but Libra, one-on-one with relationships and a need for balance, for peace, for justice. So that is my take on Kanye West's astrology chart. I'm sorry that he wasn't sitting here alongside of me so we could have a conversation about what he sees and what he hears, and if he could relate to any of these glimpses that I have. But that's what makes astrology so much fun, so fascinating, because always remember this chart is a symbolic contract between you and your maker of all the potential that you could create. And, you know, if we're looking at one of these billionaire pop artist charts right before our eyes, it's very, very interesting. And he's still a young dude, you know, he's, I guess, in his 40s. That's pretty young. And he's probably got a lot more to say. And whether you believe him or not, or whether you agree with him or not, I just think it's fascinating at his spirituality. And I think it's fascinating that he does influence so many people. And I think it's fascinating how he has been involved with politics, Hollywood, and what his take is in those realms, you know, because right now we got to remember that the planet Pluto is actually leaving, and I'm going to show you what's going on now, but Pluto is leaving Capricorn, which has to do with big business, big corporations, big media, big pharmacy, all that. It's leaving. It's been leaving that energy of big business, but it's going into Aquarius, which is over here. Aquarius has to do with an awakening, you know. So so Pluto is irreversible changes. The caterpillar turns into a butterfly, and it's not going to go back into a caterpillar. That's just the way it is. But also, we have a lot of activity currently right now for him in his house of, what do they call the career profession. And this is shocking and unexpected stuff that's coming out. Well, no surprise that he is in the news. And so that's basically what I'm seeing here. But I wanted to talk about Pluto, and that's a transit that we're looking at. So if you like this video, comment, share it, tell others about it. I will be writing a little blog about it just to give my short insights. I do my blogs about once a week. They're scheduled out for the whole year. And then if something really moves me the way this did, I'll do an unexpected blog too. I also have TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. But and if you want to find me, you know how to reach me. holistichealingastrology.com. I appreciate your time and thank you again for your support. We will talk soon.